That's right. It is time for the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. We'll talk to Blake coming up in just seconds. In the meantime, here's some contact information. If you'd like to get in touch with Blake and just talk to him personally, call him at his office at Sloan Realty Group. The phone number is 843-808-SOLD. That's 843-808-SOLD. Or go online to blakesloan.com, blakesloan.com. We'll repeat that contact info a lot over the next 30 minutes. In the meantime, here's Blake Sloan.
Good morning, everyone. Got a brand new show. Tons of great stuff. The market is still crazy. We're talking about what's happening, what's going on. This is the 47th straight show, Corona edition, COVID-19, since the craziest happened. Almost a full year of keeping you all updated about what's happening in Myrtle Beach and national and really everything to do with real estate. And so we'll dig into that. We have the brand new market numbers from last month out, and they are crazy. We have some new records here set locally, and some very, very interesting numbers that I've never seen in my 16 years of business here. And so we'll talk about that, what's going on there. We'll also look at, how we're one of the hottest markets in the country right now, which is very, very good news for us, which is awesome news there. Some big news that shows that area rent and home costs have risen dramatically during the pandemic. And so we'll talk about why that's happening, what's going on with there as well. Also, some big news in interest rates. Interest rates have crept back up in the past week. And so we'll talk about what's happening there. And I had on the list from last week, there's not enough time, some big national news. The Wall Street Journal describes how home sales reached the highest levels in 14 years across the country. And I think we're seeing a little bit higher numbers than that because of a perfect storm that has to do with people relocating from up north, working remotely, going to more earlier retirement type places and retiring early and all kind of different reasons we've had. We'll break that down. One thing too, an interesting story, we'll share, any local home builders looking to help out some local home builders whose marketing is struggling. And when I've looked, we have some experiences lately, a lot of the local home builders marketing is struggling pretty bad. And we have an instance there. We had a buyer and they have an agent that was marketing. It was not very good at all. We'll talk about that, kind of one of our horror stories. We have some amazing success stories. Our team has been crushing it. Over 80 homes under contract just in January with just our team. And so we'll talk about that. Amazing success stories. We'll share there one as well.
All right. That's all coming up with a big show to get to as the time goes on here over the next 30 minutes. If you're brand new to the show and you've never listened before, Blake has been called the Real Estate Whiz Kid. He's been featured in Forbes magazine, Wall Street Journal, Realtor magazine, and other national publications. On TV, maybe you've seen him on NBC or with Fox and Friends with Morning Show. Personal endorsements you've heard on this very radio station from Glenn Beck, Sean Hannity, from Gary LaVox, Barbara Corcoran, and more. Put them all together, they're unprecedented. Now, in addition to that, Blake has also come up with his own trademark systems as far as helping home buyers and home sellers. Can't give you all the secrets here because, well, they're trademarks and they're kind of secrets unless you start working with Blake. But he's more than happy to tell you the biggest what.
Yes.
Behind what you do.
Yeah, I'd definitely say it's the biggest what or why we do this show. And this used to be like something kind of cool we talked about, a few years back. We did this show almost 10 years, but now it's more important than ever. I'm just telling you. Why is that? I'm seeing a lot of agents right now cost their client $10, $20, and sometimes up to $30,000 in the current market because they're not familiar with the pace of what's happening right now. And it's absolute craziness. So what happens? I think I gave one of the horror stories last week. Agent prices the property. They underprice it. It sells that day. They could have got $20,000, $30,000 more. And that's just something you're seeing happen. And so why is that? Well, the public, everyone, a lot of listeners, they make this huge mistake. And I don't care what price you're in. We have multi-million-dollar sellers do the same exact thing, make the same exact mistake, right? They think that all real estate agents are the same, and it could not be further from the truth. It's just like any doctor, any lawyer, right? If you're charged with a crime you did not commit, you don't want some part-time lawyer who may or may not specialize in that type of law, right? You don't want, if you get something that, you have a sickness, you don't want any family doctor. You want somebody who specializes in that type of medicine that you need. And so it's the same thing when you're dealing, for most people, your largest asset or one of your largest assets. And so real estate agents are not a commodity. They're totally different. And there's a big difference in how each and every one of them operates. And the reality is, in selling a home, there's 118 different variables from A to Z. Each one's handled correctly. Guess what that does? Puts money in your pocket, the property gets sold. Anything's handled incorrectly, aka they drop the ball at any point. And that could be anything from the quality of the photos, the order of the photos, how much marketing do they do, what type of marketing do they do they answer the telephone, how fast it takes them to respond to a web lead. They respond to web leads at 10 o'clock at night. There's all these things that go into place, not to mention price strategy, negotiation strategy, all these things through that. And so what most agents do is they just live by the 3 Ps. One, they promise the world to get listing. 2, they put it to MLS, and 3, they pray that someone else brings a buyer. Meanwhile, they're trying to survive in the business and pay their bills. They're trying to get your neighbor's listing and put that on the market too. And so what we did, what makes us different, what passed in Forbes and Wall Street Journal, is I looked at all those variables and we created a system that's proven repeatable, that creates maximum leverage at every single point. We call it stacking the dominoes. And so first of all, you have to identify them to know what they are. That's how we know there's 118 of them. Most agents don't even know what they are. They're just winging it, right? And so our system stacked those up in the right order, and you create small gaps of leverage at each point. And so point 1, we create leverage. Point 2, we create leverage. And you stack all those up, it creates a massive gap between us and everyone else. And what it does is it gives our client a competitive advantage in the process. And so the system's called the Guaranteed Sold System. The only proven system sells twice as fast and for up to 20% more money than traditional methods. And it works very, very, very well, right? Designed it here, it's exclusive to us. Other agents, we license other parts of the country, but you need to have that right now, because you just go with some part-time friend, or even worse, try it with yourself right now, you're going to lose a lot of money, because you got to be involved, right? The average agent in our marketplace sells 4.3 homes a year. That's absolutely terrible. They're not really adverse. They're not really in depth enough to know how fast this pace is going, right? We sell a home every 16 hours. So you can believe we know exactly what's happening. We have a feel for the market. We can adjust real time, but sometimes that means putting a little higher to get more money for our seller. And so that's for the sellers out there. Make sure you owe it to yourself to get the most amount of money for your home. You get your equity out there. On the buyer side, guess what? 100 plus variables in the buying process. And right now, it's even more difficult. Why is that? There's less inventory. There's multiple offers, things that happen right now. And so you want someone who can give you a competitive advantage. So we designed that. It's different variables, very, very similar. They're the opposite variables of the listing. That's called the Unfair Advantage Home Buying System. Gets priority access to foreclosures, distress sales, desperate sellers, the absolute best negotiation, both in purchase price as well as home inspection. And the bottom line is it gives you a huge competitive advantage. So you kind of get away a couple years ago, market's a little bit slow, maybe priced out there, and it'll feel and correct itself. Right now, it's not correct itself. You can get it sold, get your property sold, and you just cost yourself $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. So don't do that. Don't let your friends do that. Learn more about our system. Reach out, call me in my office, 843-808-SOLD.
That's definitely the number to be calling and the number to be remembering, 843-808-SOLD. Coming up in just a minute, we continue on with the show. We do have, as Blake said, brand new numbers to tell you about what's happening in the real estate market. We'll see what the rates are looking like, and he gave you a little bit of a hint on that just a couple minutes ago. A lot to learn, a lot to know each and every week right here when you're listening to the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan.
Hey, if you were in the market to make the most money for your home, Sean Hannity here with some important advice. Now look, I'm an active investor. I have bought and
Can you turn it up just a little bit? Can you turn it up just a little bit?
Moderate markets. And one of the lessons I have learned is this.
Perfect, thank you.
Hire the agent that knows how to create the most demand for your home. Now, if I needed to create demand in this market, no question, there's only one real estate agent I trust if I needed to sell my home. I'm talking about Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group. Now, he services the entire Myrtle Beach area, attracts hundreds of buyers every week, and sells a home on average every 24 hours. Now, that helps you generate multiple offers and sell your home for the most money possible. Plus, it's like getting an immediate offer on your home, because if your home doesn't sell for the price and the deadline you agree to, you will have it bought for cash, and he offers flexible fees. Find out how much demand your home can demand right now. Call the agent that creates the most demand. Call Blake Sloan today at 808-SOLD. That's 808-SOLD. Or online at blakesloan.com. That's blakesloan.com.
Hi, I'm Barbara Corcoran. To sell your home on time for the most money, you need a sharp agent with a marketing strategy that creates the most demand. Bottom line, you need a partner willing to put their own money on the line for you. In Myrtle Beach, I would hire Blake Sloan. His international marketing creates so much demand that if your home doesn't sell at a price and deadline you agree to, Blake will buy it. Partner with the agent I trust. Go online or call and get your home sold.
It's the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. Coming up in just a second, we'll find out and see what the mortgage rates are looking like right now. But speaking of numbers, I know we got some brand new numbers in as far as the market are concerned, and you look excited when you were looking at those.
Yes, I'm like excited and tired at the same time, right? It's like chaos. I mean, it's insanity right now. And so there's two types of numbers to look at. Let's look at real-time numbers in regards to what's happening with buyers in town right now, things going under contract. The ones we just talked about for years and years, probably pre-COVID was like, what's happening, the overall marketplace. You look at what's closed. And so I want to educate you on two things. Number one, like what's happening with new pending deals. That means buyer and seller come to an agreement. Then you just got to wait for financing or whatever to close your due diligence. And so if you remember during COVID, we started tracking this almost a year ago. And during the lockdown, it went to like 200 to 300 properties a week going under contract. And it got a 500. It kind of sat around 600 once it came back. And then in July, in August, and part of June, it went off the charts, right? It was like 800 a week going under contract. That was kind of the peak. We got mid to high eights like one time, then back down a little bit for the late, fall into the early winter. Now, since the first of the year, it's been absolute insanity. The last 7 days right now for properties going under contract in the entire Grand Strand, 842 properties under contract for $222,158,667 sold, aka under contract in the last 7 days. And so that's absolute insanity. And so what I mean by this is that the spring market is no longer the spring market right now due to, exterior factors, people moving out from the metropolitan areas, people relocating, people frustrated with lockdowns, people frustrated businesses not being open or not being able to eat inside. Guess what they're doing? They're moving down here earlier. People are working remotely. We've had a lot of that lately where they can now work remotely. Some of the big corporations, they still haven't been to work, in office over a year. Now they have permission to work remotely. And so that's driving them to look at things differently. And guess where Myrtle Beach is? The halfway point between here and Florida. They can still enjoy the weather, get back to family, not have to worry about snow. And so we are one of the hottest markets in the country right now. And so there is a lot of pain that's moving them. We've tracked every time there's a snowstorm, guess what happens? Our hits online or traffic online goes up. And so right now we're in an inventory crisis. And just to give you an example of a few, like some of the properties sold, look at the last 7 days, 13 properties over $1 million under contract. Now, typically those properties tend to sit there a little bit longer. Just give you an example of some of the ones that just went under contract, $2.1 million in Myrtle's Inlet. It was on the market 523 days, right? Okay, that's different if it's an outlier, but looking at the patterns here, another big one, Northwood Ocean Boulevard in North Myrtle Beach, 1.895 million. Guess what? 687 days on the market before. What's happened is inventory dried up so much in the mid to low price range. They're moving to the high end. And guess what? All those prices that were overpriced before are now getting sold, which is an interesting number to look at. Another 1.4 million was 138 days, 1.27 million, 375 days. In Conway, 182 acres was on the market for 304 days. Boom, all of a sudden this week under contract. And then another one, 1.2 million, right, in Myrtle Beach, in Grand Dunes, was on the market 722 days. All of a sudden, boom, under contract. And this is the pattern you're seeing right now for the mid to high end properties, that you can get a lot more based on what's happening. And so this is data out there that's just very fascinating to look at. And we use this every day to help guide our clients to get them the most amount of money. But you can see that some of these were just overpriced, buyers overlooked them. But what's happened is the other deals are just dried up. There's not anything out there, and they're finally making offers and getting those under contract. And so we just closed a $1.5 million one in Grand Dunes last week. Barrett on my team helped with that sale, did a fantastic job. And so we're moving a lot of high-end properties right now, which is great. We're seeing a lot of cash move in from out of the state. I'll talk about as well. Wow, we have a new report on our website. We track who all's coming here, the states that have the highest amount of traffic, and we'll share some of that after the break in a minute. But really quick, looking at the numbers from last month, the fresh numbers are out. So January numbers are fresh. They're out looking at closed sales and kind of like what happened overall month versus month. And so if you look at sales last month, single family resales were up 14.6%, which is awesome. Looking into December, it was 20+% increase. So 471 sales last month, which is awesome. Sales price, though, check it out. Median price up 19% month versus month. Right now, $275,000 for a single family resale home, which is great news. Average sale price up 13.6% at $347,000, $243,000. And these would be a lot higher if it wasn't for appraisals that are keeping them kind of in that alignment realm. And so we've been able to help find the fine lines there, help our sellers get the most amount of money, make sure the appraiser is doing their job. There's a lot of pieces right now that go into that puzzle to make sure you get the most amount of money out. Here's the craziest number of all. This is a new record for anything I've seen since we've been able to track it. Inventory on the market. Last month, it was 2.1 months. Right now, it's 1.5 months of inventory on the market. That's a 65.1% decrease from where it was the same time last year. And so you have a 20% increase in sales. On top of that, 65% less homes for sale right now than there was last year. That's putting massive pressure on price. Now, what we're already seeing is what I predicted months and months and months ago, because I had friends across the country who were telling me this was going to happen, is that what's happening is you start to get to a stalemate position where we're having a lot of people who don't want to sell because guess what happens? They can't find anything to buy. And so don't wait too much longer. There's still some flexibility if you're looking to move up or move laterally, move down, that you want to take advantage of this because once it gets below 1 month inventory, it does become a huge, huge challenge. But you want to take advantage, right? If you're looking to move laterally, take advantage. The rates are low. We're still going to see prices continue to go up, even if people do hit a stalemate. You know why? Because I feel we'll see so many people move in from out of state right now because we're still a much more affordable destination than a lot of other areas. And so 1.5 months in inventory, what does that really translate to? There's thousands of less properties for sale than there was last year. Thousands, okay? And so make sure you're able to be a part of that. If you're thinking about selling, you always want to strike while the iron's hot. And what we're seeing here, what usually is happens in the spring is now happening right now in the winter. It's moving earlier this year. How do we know that? Because the data shows it's moving earlier. It's not just a hope. It's not a guess. This is just watching exactly what's happening go on. Now, the one thing to look at, too, is buyer traffic. What's buyer traffic looking at? Buyer traffic's up 39.2% versus the same month last year. And so if you remember last month in December, it was up 80%. And so we have seen that drop down. Why is that? Well, a lot of buyers have already bought here. And on top of that, interest rates are going back up. And so 39% increase in buyers in the same month last year, not quite 80. And so what that tells me is some of the buyers are dropping off from a traffic standpoint. And that traffic, when I give that quote, is how many showings our entire MLS has had the last month. And so what does that mean? Some buyers are basically not coming here anymore. We've had to tell a few buyers, hey, look, there's no longer any properties in your price range for what you want. And so that's something to consider if you're thinking about moving up, moving down, whatever it may be. Reach out to us. But what I'm getting at is if you're a home seller, sales are at an all-time high. Price is getting to be all-time high. Inventory is at an all-time low. It's the hottest market we've seen in any of our careers, myself included. I've been here, like I said, this is my 16th year in real estate, and I grew up in the business, mom, dad, aunt, uncle. And so the reality is take advantage of that. Also, what's really good right now, condos market is smoking hot. Why is that? Well, because a lot of people that were going to buy houses can no longer afford those houses. Now they're moving to condos. And so that's something which is the total opposite of what happened in the 2005 market when I was in here. Is what happened then. The hot parts of the market were speculation buyers. Those were buyers who were buying condos, and we'd flip it and add $50,000 to it and sell it the next day to some buyer with a no-doc loan who didn't even verify income, right? Who was just basically speculating. This is different. This time we have owner occupants, people who are buying here, who are moving here, who are relocating, or at very least second homes. We're not dealing with any really investor speculation like we were before. And so that means we're a much more stable market right now, which is great news. So anyways, sales last month for condos up 22%, which is great news. Into price, the average price last month for condos, huge jump, up 19.5%, $200,594. Median price up 13.9% at $159,500. And so condo sales are kicking butt. We've been selling a ton of condos, both on the buyer side and the listing side. If you look at showings, though, also showings up 2.5%, which is great for those. If you're looking at supply for condos, guess what? Also down a 40% drop in the amount of condos right now on the market, 40.8%. And so if you take anything away from this update, there's thousands and thousands less homes for sale than there was the same time last year, with a 20% increase in sales. And condos, thousands and thousands less condos for sale right now, with a 20% increase in sales. And so that's putting massive pressure. And so if you want to cash out, you want to take that move or make that move, do not wait too long. Obviously, some uncertainty, as we've already seen buyer traffic drop down as interest rates have gone up. And so that's something we'll talk about really quick. Looking at rates for anyone. Look at last week's show. We are at 2.76%, right? Great. Still great rates, super low. Right now, we're up all the way up 2.84%. So it's climbing back up, which people knew was probably going to happen, right? And so that's something to think about if you're looking to buy or sell, right? And depending on how you move. So a 15-year fixed rate right now, 2.32%. 30-year FHA loan, 2.28%. A 30-year jumbo loan, 3.25%. And a 5-year adjust rate mortgage right now, 2.25%. Money's still cheap, but we're seeing that go up. What I watched in my most important number for me as an expert in this market, I watch buyer traffic, right? And that's one thing. If you look at showings across the board, up 40% from the same place last year, but last month it was up 80%. And so slight decline there. It's still a great, great time. But if you've been waiting for that spring market, don't worry about your flower beds. Don't worry about your pressure washing. Reach out to us now, because you don't need to. I got buyers that are waiting in line to buy your property. So call me at 843-808-SOLD.
All right, so alert. And also, we've got some great success stories of people who made the right move and got to work with Blake Sloan. So you can do the exact same thing. All those stories coming up in a second. You can get in touch with Blake Sloan by calling him at his office at Sloan Realty Group. The phone number is 843-808-SOLD, 843-808-SOLD, or go online to blakesloan.com, blakesloan.com.
Hey, Myrtle Beach, it's Gary LaVox, lead singer of Rascal Flatts. When I'm moving on,
How are we looking?
A little bit more than 6.5 minutes.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
If you're moving on, you want a real estate agent who will make selling your home easy and stress-free. An agent who's willing to let you out of the contract if you're not happy with it. That's why in Myrtle Beach, I can tell you that Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group markets your home on a whole different level. Now listen, Blake is so confident in his ability to sell your home quickly and for more money that he guarantees to sell it or he'll buy it himself. If you're moving on, trust Blake to provide your family a stress-free home sale experience. Find Blake Sloan online at blakesloan.com or you can call him at 843-808-SOLD. Start hacking.
It's the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. Time right now for your hot buyers alert, and they are hot because Blake and his team working with just a ridiculous amount of home buyers, all looking for homes in the Myrtle Beach area in the range of $150,000 to $3.5 million. You heard Blake say earlier, needs inventory. Not joking at all. So if you're thinking of selling, please call immediately at 843-808-SOLD. Active home buyers in the Myrtle Beach area, well, not but looking to move to the Myrtle Beach area, over 60,000. 60,223 was the last number that we saw of people who have accounts with Blake Sloan that are looking on basically an hour-to-hour basis to be the first person to jump in line and snatch up that home.
Yeah, it's like stalking it right now, man. It's crazy. They're on the site just searching like crazy because we got to get out there within minutes sometimes. But the one thing, like Dave mentioned, like these are real people. Username, password account, 60,223 separate username, password accounts that are searching the site actively. And they're from all over the globe. And so people ask me, what makes you different? Is we have a global reach. We outspend the average agent 100 to 1 plus, tens and tens of thousands of dollars every month driving traffic. And so what I do is I increase demand for your property by just creating a much bigger funnel, aka more eyeballs. If I get more eyeballs on your property, guess what happens? It's going to sell faster and for more money. That's what I'm very, very good at. Like right now on the site, we have Bianca. She's from Tuberski, Massachusetts. We got Brittany from Aner. We got Wayne and Frankie from Lexington, North Carolina. I got Janet from Kannapolis, North Carolina. I got Buchanan, New York on here. And the long story, we have them all over the country and the globe. And so the bottom line, though, is we need inventory. We have more buyers than there are houses available. And so we also have technology that we can match up to one of our buyers the minute we get your listing. So we take that, it's an algorithm, it reverse engineers the most likely buyer for your property based on their previous search patterns. And so we have the technology, we lock it up with the sales team that match them up. And so that's how we make it happen because we're super aggressive, right? We're here to help hustle and hook up buyers and sellers. And we're very, very good at that. But we share this because we need your home to sell. It's kind of a PSA here, but right now during this time, I need your help. If you've been listening for a while and you're not thinking about selling and hopefully it's provides some type of value to you, do me a favor. Anybody you talk to that talks about real estate, say, look, you got to call my guy, Blake Sloan. Put the number in the phone, 843-808-SOLD, because we can help them get more money right now than the average agent. Why is that? We have 60,000 plus buyers. We create more demand. We create more of an auction effect for that property to drive that property up in value. And so that's just something that's super important right now as well. And one thing too, like the top states we're seeing right now, I'm tracking real time. South Carolina, obviously, because we target here locally. North Carolina, New York, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Virginia, Ohio, New Jersey, Massachusetts, Connecticut. That's the order right now of the highest amount of people on our site. Like right now, we've had 7,831 last month from North Carolina search our site. Over 10,000 from South Carolina. New York, we had right now have 2,971 active buyers from New York. Like literally, that's where, what I'm saying? So that's not just like a made up number. That's a legit number right here off the thing. Pennsylvania have 2,156 active buyers in Pennsylvania looking to buy here. And so if you want to know more about that, I can show you this stuff real time. It'll blow your mind. It even blown a lot of realtors' minds who are in other areas of the country that see it. So really quick, I got 1-2 minutes left. Okay, cool. Amazing success stories. Our team's been crushing it overall through all this. Like I said, over 80 properties under contract just in January. But really big shout out to Tim. Tim actually inherited a condo in Little River. His family has not been using it much. They made a decision, though, it's better for them to sell it, cash out in this hot market, so you don't have to keep up paying the HOA fees and worry about the upkeep because they live 3 hours away. So obviously, Tim did his research on us. Here's the cool part. He saw that we had over 500 5-star reviews online, 500 5-star reviews from our past clients. People, we came in, designed custom marketing plan, our professional photos, virtual reality tour, drove massive traffic, had all for 99% of asking price within just a couple weeks. Now they can move on with maximum equity in their pocket, which is super cool. And Angela and Tracy's father recently passed away. They needed to sell their father's home, right? They sold it. They needed it for top dollar because they're going to help Tracy buy a new home. Thankfully, though, their father used us to help purchase unit, was very satisfied. They knew they would come back to us, which they did. Very thankful for that. We came in, designed a custom marketing plan, launched our global marketing blitz, professional photos, virtual reality tour, had massive traffic. Within 1 week, we had 3 offers on the father's unit, driving the price up. Now they can move on with top dollar and get it sold pretty quickly. And so that's a cool part there as well. How much time we got? 2 minutes. So one thing I'm seeing right now, overall, I had this article. My mom will kill me on this. She actually brought this to my house. Anybody watching online, you can see it. I had this last time. So she's been listening for a while. Big shout out to her. But it's just an article that talks about how area rent home costs rose during the pandemic. And it just talks about how, obviously 1,000 people in shock. But since the pandemic, right, the average rent price has grown 8.7% in a lot of cities. Also, median rent price in Myrtle Beach is $756 for a 1-bedroom, $961 for a 2-bedroom. It's gone up. The one thing a lot of people don't realize, first-time buyers, you can own now for a lot less you can rent from. But the key part here it talks about, too, it said remote workers flock to the beach, boosting demand. And this is what we've seen a lot. People are working remotely now through Zoom, their computers, and they want to have lifestyle, and they want to have that. And guess what has that place? Myrtle Beach, right? No snow, mild temperatures. There's all these reasons why. And so make sure that you take advantage of this right now while there is a mass migration due to COVID-19. And so reach out if you want to know more about my numbers, my team, 843-808-SOLD.
Yeah, a quick minute left. You still, speaking of your team, you need team members?
Always looking for people to serve our clients at the highest level. We're always growing. Again, like I mentioned, I sat in this, 47 weeks ago, whatever it was, and said, we're doubling down advertising. Guess what? We did that. And it helped us provide massive value to our clients, to our sellers. So anyone out there listening that's looking to level up your career, or if you're in real estate, you want high level training, high level accountability, reach out to me in my office at 843-808-SOLD.
Absolutely. That'd be the smart move to make. Call that number. It's 843-808-SOLD, 843-808-SOLD, or go online to blakesloan.com, blakesloan.com. If you missed any of the information in this show, you can get it recapped at that very same number. They'll be happy to tell you somebody from Blake's team or Blake himself. Blake, great show. We'll do it again next week.
Yes, sir. I'll be here. Thank you.
All right. Next weekend, another edition of the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan.
Selling your home doesn't have to be filled with drama or having to pay hidden fees. And your friend Sean Hannity here to tell you, as an active investor, I firmly believe in working with the smartest,